I will tell you that now. I was going through your website yesterday, and I noticed that you wanted to completely rid of the Department of Education and any federal involvement with education. Following that to you, I wanted, just out of curiosity, were your kids in public school?
Yes.
They were? Okay,
yes.
My dad's a public school teacher.
So is my
wife.
Yeah.
But elementary school, middle school?
She teaches high school.
Oh, my God.
She teaches special needs kids inclusion program where she takes them, the special needs kids, once they get a diploma, it's not valid unless they get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes them and teaches them the special skills, the life skills to get a job. She was supposed to be with my campaign through November. The principal called her and said, we really, really need you back. And she says, I committed to my husband. And so then her workmates called her and said, we really, really need you. She said, I committed to my husband. So the principal did a dirty trick. She got the students to call her. And so now she's back teaching.
Nice, awesome. So since your wife's a teacher, she knows that most of the funding in Texas comes from the lottery. And once the lottery, that funding was input, we cut back, like as a state, most of our funding to those public schools. So we actually spend, we're one of the states with the least spending per student. We are also ranked 40 out of 50 right now. So my question is, so we're ranked 40 out of 50. One of these things that No Child Left Behind Act, that would change in Texas. It's honestly one of the worst things that could happen in education federally. But I totally agree with that part. But my question is, so we have states like the New England states, like Massachusetts, even Colorado is halfway up there. We have these states who do accept this, they have higher state funding there, but their learning gap is a lot higher than what we learn. So that's, I mean, I'm sure you see it, like in those New England states, a lot of those people end up going to more of our schools, like whether it's Stanford or Harvard or UT, they have those skills to go there. So federally, federal government's not allowed to impose on any curriculum, but they do try to kind of make it see like, okay, so these are the state tests from this one and this one and this one. My question is, what would you do if you cut out that funding? What are you going to do about closing that gap? What's going to make Texas more prepared for professional life, for higher education, for the SAT they are going to be bound to take no matter what?
Okay. No. Keep in mind also, a lot of the things that I would like to do, I probably won't be able to do as governor. But as far as federal funding, there are more strings attached to the federal funding than it's worth. The paperwork, the one thing that my wife complains most about is the paperwork. And they are so swamped with paperwork, and I'm sure Father knows as well, that it is the restrictions that gets put on them with the federal, from the federal education department, that's what needs to end. The federal government has no mandate to be in education. The state does. The state constitution says that the state shall provide efficient and free education. Just by show of hands, who believes here that our system is efficient or free? Now, I know that the system is not necessarily broken, but ask yourself a question. The state needs to set minimum standards, okay? And I'm going to say something, hopefully I won't get in trouble. I went to school in Mexico. The system is a bit different, and by no means am I saying that we need to do anything like this, but just to give you an idea of how my mind works. The state and federal government set the curriculum standard. In other words, they say your student has to achieve this level in mathematics, this level in the different areas, all the way through university. Both the state and the federal government, Secretary of Education, sets the standards. There's very, very few schools that only achieve those standards. Most schools achieve higher standards. But you get a degree from the Tec of Monterrey or any one of the major universities, and it is worth zero. It has zero value whatsoever, unless it is signed off by the Secretary of Education of the state. And then you do not get a, what's called a cédula profesional, a professional license, unless the federal government signs off on it and issues you your federal license for doctors, for lawyers, for any kind of profession. I'm not saying that we have to do something like that here. Is what I'm saying is the state can set the standards. And none of this No Child Left Behind, because you and I both know what that was. That was pull the brilliant kids down. That's all that did. I mean, my wife, my children, we hated that. And all my kids did go through public schools. So I know the importance of public schools, but the issue is really not dishing more money into it. We need better management of the money that we do have. We have ample money. We just have, now if you hear one of my opponents, you'll hear her say, we need to invest more in our education. That is just a clue, that is just a catchphrase that really means we need to tax you more money so we can spend it unwisely. Where comes the actual stewardship of our money? And you said something about the lottery. Unfortunately, it was set up to go to only education until, like everything good, the government got their frickin' hands on it. And how much of it really goes to education? Not a whole hell of a lot. So that does need to be corrected. But is what we also need to do, and I'm sorry if I'm so long-winded on this, and I hope I'm answering your question. Throwing more money at it is not going to solve the problem. We have independent school districts, and I'm sure, you say your father's a teacher, right? I'm sure he'll relate to this. Where the head of the ISDs make anywhere from $500,000 to $250,000. And they surround themselves with people that make equal amount of money. Why? So they can prop themselves up and make a hell of a lot of money. While the teachers make, what, $40,000 a year? 40 to 50,000? Where is the balance there? Perhaps it is time we started thinking, why are we still educating our children the same way we have for hundreds and hundreds of years, herding them through a classroom? My kids tell me, Dad, I can learn more from YouTube than what I learned going through a classroom. Is all they do is repeat the same, and I am not bad-mouthing the system, okay? I'm just saying that's the way it is. For instance, this room must cost a fortune. On an average, it is used, I would venture a guess to say, on an average of 2 hours a day. And that may be even high. And now, we have one of the biggest growing segments for the universities, like UT, WashU out of St. Louis. One of their biggest growing segments is selling MBAs and doctorate degrees. Not selling them, but educating them. And is what they do is they partner with Tec de Monterrey, the Autónoma of Guadalajara, the Autónoma of the different states. They partner with them, and they do online, where you can actually see the professor. I know because I started at the double LLM with WashU from the Tec of Monterrey. And they, for $7,000, you can get an MBA or a doctorate degree, valid from UT or from WashU. I mean, we need to reanalyze our education system. And I am bold enough to be able to, as governor, say, this is what we need to do, and this, we need the intelligent people and smart people to get there. That's what we need, is we need bold leaders. We don't need know-it-alls. I'm definitely not a know-it-all. And here's a typical example, and I'm sorry I'm so long-winded. John F. Kennedy said, and I think it was at Rice University, in this decade, we will take a man to the moon and bring him home safely. Not because it's easy, because it is hard, but because it's the right thing to do. The whole message of that is this. When he said those words, there was not a single soul on this planet that had any idea how to do that. So if we put goals of, look, we recognize that we can do better. We can do this better. We know we can. The students know we can. We just need to set the goals and do it. Did I answer your question? No, your time's not up. Okay.
So halfway. So when I was comparing Colorado is actually very close to us when it comes to how much money they spend on schools. I'm sure that's changed now with them putting tax money from marijuana to education. I'm sure that's changing, but from the studies that I was reading. But they're still listed as 26 and we are 40. My question was, without any federal oversight or anything of how all the different states are doing, what's your plan to close the gap? To raise us up on the list, and maybe to even 30 to something?
We need to analyze how we are teaching, because we need to get to the students better. That's what you're saying. How do we get to our students better so that the grades are higher? Perhaps we need to stop herding them through classrooms the way we have for hundreds of years. If you're looking for, here's the answer, this is the way it is, and this is what I'm going to do, you'll probably never get that from me. Because I am not the person who will create the rocket to go to the moon. I'm the person who will set the goal. And then I will gather the right people, including students, that ask the questions, that provide the answers, that say, look, I learned better from YouTube. Maybe we need to look at that. From the professors, from everybody. That's how we need to reanalyze of how we are teaching. I think we have ample money, ample money. And here is something that my wife always says. Why is it that we are spending, and I gotta first qualify this, I love football, so don't throw anything at me. Why is it that a high school will spend $100 million on a football stadium, yet we cannot teach our children sympathy, empathy. We cannot teach compassion, how to deal with each other. Our social skills are being lost. So, I know that probably did not answer exactly the question. I do not have it.
Did with the whole
okay.
why are spending so much money on football. That's kind of where I wanted you to go with it, honestly.
Yes. And the bottom line is, it's not that we don't have enough money. We have ample money. We're just not spending it.